the G.I. Joe team as they furiously battle the evil forces of Cobra in The Revenge of Cobra.
G.I. Joe!
It's the most exciting action-adventure movie you've ever seen.
It's G.I. Joe against Cobra, the enemy, fighting to save
G.I. Joe and The Revenge of Cobra. Watch it.
Watch the action Friday morning at 10 on WUAB.
G.I. Joe!
Going to take our sounds down, and there we go. And we're live. Hi.
Hi.
Jinx. All right. All right.
Big blob.
So people watching, I'm completely trying new things this week. So there might be cool things happening. There could be hiccups. I have a new shirt and a new mug with my logo on it. It's kind of ridiculous, but why not?
It's a cool mug, man.
Thanks. I am joined by Chris McLeod, Diagnostic 80, also known as the Full Force.
Full Force!
For this week's, I guess, episode of Joe and Tell. Thanks for joining me, buddy. I appreciate it.
Thank you for inviting me on, even though it was me pressuring you very strongly. Like, dude, I want to be on. I want to be on the show. Put me on the show.
No,
And I was expecting you to come back and say, "Oh, I'm busy this week. I'm washing my hair."
Well, to be honest, I was going to ask you. So I think I'm in a rhythm where Sean Wordburglar and I are doing every other week. I think that's what works for his schedule, at least as of right now. So then
Awesome.
the weeks in between, or initially I just did one with myself, but how exciting is that? Not really. So I was thinking, why don't I invite other people on every other week, and then we'll just see how it goes. So
Awesome.
so cool.
Awesome. Well, I'm really happy to be involved. Excited to chat Joe and stuff. Really, I love the shows that you put on. I love these little. When you started on Instagram, I used to love kind of checking those out, and then and then when Word Burglar started jumping on as well, I was kind of like, this is amazing. So really enjoyed the show last week, and I was so like, when you're watching along with these things, it's like the classic podcast meme where that guy is kind of like laughing along with like a poster of those women all like together, like having like it's like a poster and he's next to them, like kind of pretending to be involved. That is kind of what it's like. You're kind of wanting to be involved in the talk and the discussion, but you can't. Like I found myself talking out loud about multiple times, kind of shouting names out and realizing, oh, they can't hear me. So
No, it's great. I know, and it just means now that you're here with me, that's just one less of our 5 viewers, but that's fine. So just go watch it also on our browser, so we get that number up to 5.
I've got like swordfish right now. Got all these like screens, like everything going on.
6 different accounts.
It's amazing.
Diagnostic 79, Diagnostic 81.
Diagnostic 1 through 80. Amazing.
So yeah,
my dog's barking in the background now as well.
Tell him to get on too. We need him in a browser. All right, so what we thought we would do this week is we have the mail call, which is a normal thing that I do. It's kind of how this all started anyway, back on Instagram. It's just doing kind of like a mail call. Yeah, I need to create a screen for that. Is what I got to do. Where it's like,
Mate, I have photoshopped the Action Force mail call like comic page multiple times and put, because it's Flynn that does it.
Yes,
he's like doing that.
yes.
And I've put my face on it. I've had all sorts of people's faces on there. It's hilarious. So yeah, you can have one of them.
Yeah, I'll do that. Or what I can do is just get a friend of mine or my girlfriend to dress up like a mailman and just like deliver the mail to me as this is happening, like it's like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
That'd be amazing. Amazing. I do actually have a all brown jumpsuit in there that I wear as Lightfoot, Night Force Lightfoot, so I could easily pass as a like UPS guy.
Lightfoot would be a good name for a UPS driver. So what can Brown do for you? Okay, so what we're gonna do is we'll do a mail call, and then we want to talk about the hopefully upcoming, hopefully happening um, retro line from Hasbro for GI Joe. So we'll get into that a little bit, and what else, Chris? What else are we gonna talk about? Whatever we want. Oh, rants. We're gonna have a rant or two in here. So, I think you froze. I think Chris froze. Hold on. Let me see if I can reconnect here. We're gonna try it again. Hold on, everybody. We're gonna reconnect. There it goes. There it goes. All right, let's try it again. So we had a poor network connection error. So hopefully it's not my end. It could be. Well, it could be Chris's end because he's not answering his phone. Let's try this. Let me hang up. I'm gonna text him. See, it wouldn't be a Plastic Battles Thursday Night Battles without a technical issue, probably. All right, I'm telling him I'm trying again. So let's try this again. All right, all right, all right. Hang tough, guys. We could just leave his face up here, frozen like this. Huh? He's not answering. What do we do, gang? All right, hold on.
You're trying to reach.
All right, let me try this out. Can you guys still hear me? And see if see how I'm doing. Trying restarting Skype. Could be Skype for all we know, actually. All right, all right. Let's try that. Yeah, my internet looks not too bad. There's going to be some frame issues, I think, a little bit here and there, but that's to be expected. Aha! So Skype was acting goofy on his end. So let's try. He had to force quit. So let's try. I'm going to try to call him again. Fingers crossed, guys. Man, still not working.
Trying to.
Let me try this. Quit Skype. Man, this is tougher than I thought it was going to be for just reconnecting. Sorry, guys. apologize for the technical difficulties. I think it has a lot to do with probably everybody using Skype and things these days, but who knows? Who knows?
Trying to reach is currently unavailable.
Let's see. Ooh, we got a Skype logo in here. That's cool. Oh, he's calling me. All right, here we go. Yo.
I don't know what's happening, buddy.
back.
I am back, but the Skype just decided, you know what? It's just not going to be today for you. So weird. I have the worst luck when it comes to video call stuff. Like Skype was so bad for me for so long that I was paying a fortune for it, like a lot of money a year to have, all of the bells and whistles to be able to call whoever I wanted for the show and do, all that kind of stuff. So then I dropped that and I decided, you know what, let's try Zoom. Because everyone was going nuts with Zoom and it seemed really good. And, I was kind of really digging it for a little while. And then it just stopped connecting to Facebook Live, couldn't do the live streams anymore. That's kind of destroyed this week. And because they're not doing any technical support, I can't get any help with it at all. So I'm basically
Who's not doing technical support? Is it Skype or Zoom?
Zoom are only doing technical support for businesses. So if you're on a business account, education account, like if you're paying thousands a year, they'll do technical support. But otherwise, you have to go through FAQ pages and submit reports. I submit a report about 2 weeks ago now, no response. I sent another one for a separate issue. I don't expect to hear anything back. So yeah, it's just been like awful for this kind of stuff. So I'm on my phone app for Skype, which that's what I'm left with.
Well, surprise, Chris, I have Zoom on the other line. Let's invite him in here. Just a guy wearing a fat nerdy guy wearing a Zoom t-shirt, zits. Just like Cartman from that World of Warcraft South Park episode.
When his mom comes in to help him poop into a thing. So funny.
I don't know if
now I've got to do the whole show. I've got to do the whole show like this, holding my phone.
Do you have like a phone tripod?
I do. Anything? I haven't got enough time to deal with it, unfortunately.
I was gonna say, go get it.
I've got to take this off. I've got to connect all the stuff up. I've got to put it it's just not going to happen.
It's kind of cool. It's kind of like raw. It's kind of like raw right now.
That's
that works great. That works great.
You're getting the Beastie Boys thing now.
Now I got to do that too. We gotta come at it from.
This is on some intergalactic shiz. Yeah. Oh mate, I'm sorry.
No worries, man.
It's just been an absolute nightmare for the last week or so. I don't know why this is happening to me. I just don't understand it.
Well, it's going to happen. This is like guerrilla style live broadcasting still. This isn't, like for me, we were talking before we went live here that I live in a house that was built in 1910. So it has wooden lath walls with chicken wire and stuff, which is terrible for Wi-Fi. So I had to create a second network that was 2.4 gigahertz because the 5 gigahertz is short range and it's downstairs. So the higher the frequency, the tougher it has getting through those walls. So I went to the 2.4, but I'm still looking into getting like a new whole Wi-Fi router system where I have several routers throughout the house to try to boost the signal. So because I was dropping some frames here, I saw right around the time that you dropped out. So it could have been on my end, and it just freaked out your Skype. So we'll see what happens. We'll keep an eye on it. So
goodness knows.
So I don't know where we left off, but I will just go through it again. Let's just get right into it. We're gonna do a mail call. We're gonna do talk about G.I. Joe Retro Line, and we're going to just have some rants and stuff. Who knows? So let's do.
I've done my rant.
Yeah, that was a rant. So rant one in the bank. I'm going
the rant bank.
Do you have anything for mail call today, Chris?
I do, yeah. I've got a few things.
All right. Why don't you go first?
I will. I wasn't even like entertaining the prospect that you might go first. Then that was really rude of me. Apologies. So a little while ago, well, actually, for the last couple of years, I've been what's the word? It's like a supporter, a fan of a certain customizer called Ian Lalonde, who is known as Just Ian Customs on all of the socials, and he does amazing work. And I was kind of hoping to have a much better, camera to show this off. Unfortunately, I'm using my selfie camera,
Actually,
so you're just going to have to put up with that.
It looks really good, at least on my end.
Well, it is. Well, we'll see, hopefully. But anyway, you might see him. Oh! He sent me this Baron Ironblood, which is absolutely gorgeous, like a custom, modern version of the Baron here, obviously. I've also got Kate's. This is Kate's, my wife. Got her original Ironblood here. So we've got the vintage and the new.
Awesome.
Check that out. So he's like, what's really funny is I think he used like a pen lid for the helmet, and it's absolutely perfect.
I was going to say, what is the lid? What's his helmet? Yeah.
I think it is a pen lid, he mentioned, and that comes off to reveal the Sean Connery circa Highlander phase of his career, pre-gangster.
That looks real good. That's like
it's amazing.
Could be official from the Joe Club. You know what I mean? That was something that I
this
could have
for
seen
me,
them, if they were around, could have seen them doing.
This was a big miss for me that they didn't do this at the club. So thanks to Ian, absolute genius customizer. And the wonderful thing about it is that he just sent it to me he messaged me to say, like, thank you for all the retweets and all the support. Because I do, whenever I see any of his customs, they're amazing. Like he did Saturn's Band. He did.
That's good. Okay. I saw
all
that
sorts.
on Facebook.
An amazing Hydro Viper. And he just messaged me to say, like, thanks for all the support. Pick one and I'll send it to you. And I was like, Baron Ironblood. So boom, and there it was. So thank you, Ian.
That is amazing. And I saw Saturn's Band on Facebook at some point, and it's probably his. I mean, made those, and those looked legit as well.
Yeah, Timber with the visor and the hair and all that, the hat and stuff.
It's funny.
It's amazing.
All right, so that'll come back around later. So that whole topic.
Yeah.
So that's pretty awesome. I actually have some customs coming in the mail from Canada. They might be here next week. If not, they'll be the week after. And one of them especially is so insanely good that I cannot wait to share it. So it's the guy who did the Green Mean Dog I have, who did the convertible All Striker that I have. He did that Major Blood vehicle out of the Ice Snake and an All Striker combo. So his name's Alex Wicks.
Awesome.
And he does just amazing customs. So I cannot wait. I'm getting
Alex who? I missed that, mate.
It's Alex Wicks. He's on
Wicks, that's it.
He runs a oh man, I'm gonna forget the name of it. He runs a custom Facebook page. But he's in the groups and he doesn't do much on Instagram. He has an account, but he doesn't use it. But he's in Canada and he just does awesome stuff. So but I'll talk him up when the stuff arrives. So I'm excited for that. All right. Well, I don't have customs this week, but I have 4 items that all came from the same place. And I have yet to open the box. It's in an eBay box, but I got this off a Facebook group. I don't remember which group though. I mean, I'm in so many groups now. I can't even remember what group's what. You know what's hilarious?
I just leave them.
You love them and leave them?
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to sound like a total jerk, but here's a rant. Maybe it's just guys don't understand what happens if they're not in a lot of groups. But you ever have you're in, like, I don't know, let's say we're in 20 Facebook groups that are all G.I. Joe related, And
Yeah.
then you have the one guy who posts the same thing to every group. And so
Yeah.
your Facebook feed is literally like 20 of the same posts, and you're like, oh God. Especially when they're selling something,
Although,
it's like, oh, I want
yeah.
that. Now I have to go check. Did someone already claim it in every one? Because you want to be the jerk that claims it after it's been claimed, So I don't know.
That is one problem about Facebook in general, is that fragmentation of everything.
Mhm.
Like, it's nice to be involved in communities, but then when you have like sub communities within sub communities, it just gets so like,
Right.
oh, no, just all like so repetitive as well. Although I must admit, I was a culprit when it came to that. Like when we used to do the early podcasts, I would post that podcast when it went out
Mhm.
in like every group I was involved in, and like, looking back now, that's something that I wouldn't do now. I've got the page, I post it in there, and if anyone else wants to share it, they can, but that's where it goes.
Right.
So I try and avoid that whole spamming groups type thing now, because it's kind of a bit obnoxious. It really is.
I mean, I'm sure I've done it in the past too. But yeah, I think
We've all done it.
I think it's when you're new to the groups, you just don't realize that it's showing up to people in those groups.
Marauder Ruben did the funniest thing the other day from Marauder Gunrunners. Ruben, he posted this thing saying, "I'm starting a new group
I
called
saw that.
Classified, Unclassified, Declassified, Custom BST." And it was just like this long list of like keywords. It was
Uncensored.
amazing.
Yeah. Okay, so all right, so I got 4 mint on card Joes in this box.
Wow.
They are all version 1 Snake Eyes. No, I'm just kidding. No, these are not. These are not. These are all still very affordable. So part of the reason is the reason I got them. I got them all, I
Interesting.
think, for $20 each, or 25 each, maybe.
Nice.
And again, I've said this. I feel like I'm saying this all the time now, so maybe I should just change my rules. But my rules are I only collect 82 to 90. But now they have everything in that range. It's like, well, maybe I'll get the mailaways from 91 through 94, and then I got all of them except for a gold head.
You start tagging the stuff.
Yeah, and then I'm like, well, maybe I'll get these guys, and the next thing you know, I'm like, well, I might as well just get all of these guys. The only ones I will not get, I think, are Star Brigade. Well, maybe. See, now I'm like, well,
You're missing out.
there's a couple I like. I won't get those monsters. It's just I can't do it. They go for a decent buck, especially if they're on card, and I can't. Maybe it's when I bought every other thing at that point. That's when I do it.
Yeah.
But so anyway, so for some reason I've gotten myself onto mint on card Battle Core figures. So these are all Battle Core figures, and the first one is the Dr. Mindbender version 2, right?
He doesn't get much like love, that Mindbender, but I think he's amazing.
Yeah, he's if they had chosen a less vibrant color, like maybe he was just purple and gray or something, I think more people would like him. I think a lot of guys are turned off by the vibrant yellow,
I remember during the Cyber Viper era in the comics,
Mhm.
when Snake Eyes and Cobra Commander had a fight, and I remember Dr. Mindbender was working like behind the scenes in this like kind of like audio visual like mess
Mhm.
kind of thing to kind of put Snake Eyes off, to give Cobra Commander the edge, and he was rocking that getup, and I just think it looks amazing. He's like, that's his kind of like, I don't know, in the kind of tech lab.
Yeah.
Doctor.
Yeah, it is, and it's got the lazy, the when they were doing all the weapons on the pegs, but
Yeah.
but it's still cool. Like, I've started to get into these. Like, I really I picked them up a little while ago, was the Night Creeper leader version 2,
Yeah.
that dude's awesome. So I have him on card. So
there's some Lakers fans in the Hasbro team.
There's some.
I'm just telling you now.
Right. Yeah,
massive Lakers fans.
They went through these color thing. Like, if you look at it, like early, it was a lot of blue and red, right, with Cobras, and then it evolved. And by the time you got into like 87, 88, a lot of purple. Techno Vipers, Toxo Vipers, Hydro Vipers, all like these purple guys. And then once you got past that, then it started being like bright orange and bright yellows and stuff. So it is interesting. Um, I like so at this point in time when they started doing the file cards where they didn't have that notch at the top, so they could get more space.
Yeah.
They got more space so they could add that quote at the top, right? So this one says, Dr. Mindbender, master of mind control. And then his quote is, I get a real, in all caps, charge out of shocking G.I. Joe. I'm like, I'm guessing this isn't Larry Hama by this time.
No, not at that point. No.
This is like
what?
this is like Karen Weebelcheck, the front office clerk. She's like, can you write a file card for Dr. Mindbender? So Dr. Benminder, sure. And then she writes this.
Amazing.
So this is Dr. Mindbender. I guess I'll just read it. Dr. Mindbender was at one time an excellent orthodontist and a very kind and honest man. Wow, that's nice to know. His personality was drastically altered when he experimented on himself with electronic brainwave stimulation. He changed into an egotistical madman filled with hatred and deceit, and buried him in a tanker deep beneath a volcano on Cobra Island. Okay, that is amazing that they reached into the comic book and put that here. Because if you didn't read the comic book, you'd be like, wow, man, that's kind of harsh. And then if you found the comic book later, you would have had that aha moment.
Yeah, the moment.
Blown your mind.
There was a real
mind bender.
There was a real synergy between I was not making a gem reference, but there was a real synergy between the comic and the file cards, especially when Larry was writing both. He would kind of like, you'd see that kind of marrying up quite a lot. And it's funny, the cartoon took like some elements of the file card and the comics and would implement them in some of the personalities in the cartoon as well, but it certainly wasn't as tight as the comic and the file cards were.
Oh, right. Yeah, right. I mean, I love it. I like, this is the first time I'm reading this particular card, right? So right now is when I realized they added that in. And that's one of the greatest story arcs kind of in the Marvel run, was that tanker, the whole getting poisoned from the what was it? What was the spam or something? What was in there that was poisoned?
It was old K rations or something, right, wasn't it? Yeah, I think it was spam. I think it was, when they went into the details of what was in there. But I'm sure that it's written down as old K rations or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So then the last part of this was after bionically enhancing his badly damaged body with various machine parts, he barely escaped with his life. He eventually proved himself worthy of Cobra Commander and re-enlisted as a member of Cobra. So now they're giving him a reason why he survived that whole thing right here, right? It's pretty interesting. So, yeah.
I love him as a character. And also, have you seen that Dr. Mindbender that didn't come out? The one that was going to be in the Battle Corps Rangers?
So I've seen
like
the white
one.
The white, what do you call it?
Like the grey copy or whatever.
Right. But then I saw recently this week an image of a painted one for the first time, and now I'm super bummed that did not come out, because that looks
and he's also
amazing.
What's really interesting, have you seen also the Unrest tactical battle platform like re-release, and they've got Mindbender climbing up the stairs, but they've given him horns instead of tubes. I think that's adorable.
If they could have just stretched the line out one more year, we would have gotten that battle platform and that hovercraft. Oh,
hell yeah!
Man, we could go back in time and change history. Maybe that's what we do. We could save the world, but we just saved the G.I. line for 95.
Just push one more year out of Hasbro.
Yep. All right, your turn. What do you got? What else you got?
Yeah, I've got another thing. This isn't. I mean, this is. On the Full Force, we tend to delve into other things other than G.I. Joe, and one of those things you can probably see to my left shoulder. I'm not sure what angle or what you guys can see right now, because I don't know what's going on anymore. A little book that I got delivered from Bitmap Books. Now, like I said, we dabble in other ranges here on the Full Force, and one of those ranges did actually contain G.I. Joe. and that is Micro Machines, and this wonderful, wonderful book. It's actually quite a thick book as well.
That's
Gorgeous
nice.
thing with like a holographic.
I see
I'll
that.
say holographic. Can you
Is
see
that lenticular?
Like,
Is it lenticular?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
It's like literally looking at Lightfoot's little robot drone right now.
So you could
It's
cut
like
those little cars out and put them on the robot drone, or put them in Bat's chest when you're missing the
Exactly.
sticker.
And also, it's not just as it lenticular, but it's the holographic change. So like the vehicles change. So they've got
cool.
like if you flip it like that, that classic. And it's just beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Now this, like I said, it's called Micro But Many, and they also gave you a really cute little bookmark. But look, each one has a different vehicle on it, and I got the Pontiac
cool.
Stinger.
Yeah.
In that deco, which is just beautiful. Like, that is amazing. The book's incredible.
Was this released, like, did you get this from like Amazon or something, or was this a Kickstarter or something?
This was a Kickstarter, I believe. Well, not a Kickstarter. Was it it was one of those ones where it's like a crowdfunding job. It was crowdfunded, yeah, but I can't think which one. But it probably was Kickstarter. And I mean, you know, this beautiful like these little touches, like the kind of, you know, holographic stickers they put in there.
Mm-hmm.
And they talk about, what's really fun is obviously they've got the fastest, the Guinness World Record guy, John Machita Jr. Who did the commercials for them. He does like a little forward, which is really cute. But then they've got, honestly, it's amazing. So I'll just try and get you some pages. So introduction, talk on the history. So it goes through the different phases of Micro Machines, which is really cool. But then there's like prototypes in here, and like images of like the unreleased Godzilla Micro Machines prototypes and stuff. It's just amazing. The book is beautiful, and it's just like page after page of this, like, you know, explanation and then, you know, beautiful images, prototypes, history, interviews with like the people that, you know, designed the stuff, and then the kind of chunk, the main like lump of the book is like each individual vehicle with a little bit of blurb and explanation and history about it and anecdotes.
That's
and
great.
It is just brilliant, like so many. And it is honest, like I've just been like gushing over this thing. It's a beautiful, beautiful book. And if you don't have it, go and try and get it, because it is brilliant. I mean, all the pictures they've got, like from behind the scenes of the commercials as well, like just
that's awesome. Yeah, that's great. I love seeing all that behind the scenes stuff. It's like seeing the Kirk Bazigian's footage from filming those live action Joe commercials.
Yeah, it's just like next level. It's really, really beautiful.
So are you like super stoked that they're kind of re-releasing or relaunching Micro Machines then?
100%. Yeah, like I was quick on it. Like as soon as I saw that they were bringing them back at Toy Fair, I was like, let's get involved, because I really love the line. Like as a kid, I had it was, you know, like the kind of carry case where it's like the front of a semi-truck opens up half and then you can put all your vehicles in there. I still have mine as a kid, and like it was like G.I. Joe I kept, Mask I kept, and Micro Machines. And funnily enough, it's just those are the three brands. There's not much else I have from a kid. I think Visionaries I might still have my Visionaries, but other than that, like I had Turtles, He-Man, Thundercats, you name it. I had something in that, you know, vicinity of those toys, and I shifted a lot of it as a kid for some reason. Star Wars as well, shifted a lot of that, but I kept certain things. Micro Machines is one of those things to me, you know. It's like it's amazing. And I just remember like when they brought out the deluxe and you could lift the doors and the bonnet amazing stuff, man, amazing.
Yeah, I had a good Micro Machines collection as a kid, but I can't remember. I'd have to look and see which ones I had. I can't out of memory remember what specific ones I had.
I had what I love most, and what I'm really hoping they would bring back are the connectable little little half blocks that you open up and they become like a little like city piece. Mm-hmm. And like with roads, or it could be like a bridge, or it could be like a military installation, and you lock them all together to make a big, you know, like the little travel packs, basically. I just absolutely adored them. I had about 4 of those. I had the cargo plane with the nose that lift up.
I remember that. Yeah.
and I had the aircraft carrier, which
Yeah.
was so cute, man. That thing was adorable. And other than that, it was stuff like the carry case, and then just loads and loads of the vehicles. The color changes, like that, just honestly, just takes me back to that time, and just amazing stuff. Loved it all.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love that book, man. That looks great.
It's beautiful. Highly
right.
recommend it as well. Like, it's really, really cool.
Go on, get it. Where can people get it? Can you still pick it up somewhere?
Bitmap Books, Bitmap Books. They're in the UK, I believe, and they do lots of different nerdy type things. They do a lot of computer game kind of books. But yeah, the Micro Machines, get it. Micro but many.
Awesome. Micro but many. I love that. I love that name. All right, cool. All right, so I've got another Battlecore figure, and this one is. Let me take the.
Is it Mace?
It is not Mace. Hold on, let me see something real
I
quick.
saw it flash up, and I thought it was Mace.
So this one
I need
is
to
one
guess
of
what it is now.
this one is one of those where the kid or mom took off the UPC on the back to try to mail in for something, and tried not to cut through the card, but did cut through the card. But it's fine. Yeah, you can kind of see here, but it.
Oh yeah.
But nah.
That's
All
actually really impressive. That's really impressive that they did that. Oh, it's Flint.
It's Flint, and it's the variant with the
Yeah.
painted leg, whatever you call it, straps, holster.
Straps. Yeah.
Yeah, because I have the one without the painted. So I'm like, okay, and I got that in a huge lot from a guy who sent me his whole childhood collection, pretty much, just on Instagram.
Wow.
So the guy that's talking about Ghost Striker. That's how I got all my the stuff that I didn't collect, because he collected. He was younger, so he collected later. But yeah,
Awesome.
it was it had a $5. What does it say on here? Discount $5 tag on it, which really isn't much of a discount. For
Not
things
really
back in
at
the
all.
day, it's like more than they were. I don't know. Maybe this was like in the '90s at a toy store or comic book shop, right? We don't know. But yeah, this is Desert Paratrooper Flint. So I kind of really dig this Flint, to be honest.
I do.
I used to not, but he's grown on me a lot. So
I don't like, everyone has such a strong. They have strong feelings towards all the different like figures that came out, and I never. My feelings towards all the figures in G.I. Joe is like this, almost like a protective love for all of them.
Right.
Like there's what, like I was asked to do by Analog Toys Tony Roberts, an amazing YouTube channel as well. I'm plugging on your show right now.
Goodbye. Gotta hang up.
He asked me, yeah, click. He asked me to do because he was doing like a top 10 Cobra figures, and he wanted me to do like my least favorite, or like pick up the worst Cobra figure, and then you do that one on the video. And I was like, man, I can't pick any because I don't hate any of them. Like, there was one, the one I came up with was the Cobra Commander, like version 4, I think it is, where he's got the red face mask and the blue, and kind of like all over the place and shape wise, and has that like. But the thing goes, I don't hate that figure. I don't. It was the one that least does it for me in terms of everything. But there's a lot of nostalgia connected to that still, like the commercials where like the Kirk Bazigian, I'll call them the Kirk Bazigian commercials, have a lot of that design Cobra Commander in it. So it's like, I don't know, I can't hate any of the figures really.
Yeah, it's very tough for me to find one I hate other than like Robo Joe. I can easily say I hate that figure.
Still love him, man. Still love him.
It's just a handful that I'm like, I can't pose him, can't do anything with him. He's just a statue, and he's not even. If it's a statue, make him look good, but he doesn't even look good. So but one thing I just thought of, there's guys that, like, it might be an age thing, that the guys that got into Joe earlier were getting older by this time, going into high school. But I think because that was me. I was going into high school, and I was still trying to collect Joes in sophomore year, and hide it from everybody, so that I didn't get found out at school. You know what I mean? And I remember my neighbor 2 doors down from me was a year older. So he was a freshman when I was still in 8th grade. And then I remember the summer before I became a freshman, he came over and like he still had some Joes, and I was still collecting. He's like, whatever you do, don't let anyone know you still collect toys. And I'm like, yeah, I kind of knew that, but now I'm super scared about it because of the way he pulled me aside. And I was going from like a private school kind of thing, grade school, to a public high school that
Yeah,
most of the kids there I didn't know. You know what I mean? It wasn't like
yeah.
my kids from grade school were just graduating. I mean, some were, but the majority I have never met before. So it was a scary time. But roundabout way to getting to this. One thing that I think about as far as the attachment to these that isn't as strong is not to say anything like critiquing really. It's just the difference in the the artwork changed in a lot of these, right? From Hector Garrido
Yeah.
to who was the name of the guy who did these? I can't remember his name. But
Someone will tell us in the comments.
right.
It was there were a few people, weren't there? I thought there were like a couple of people
Yeah,
working on it.
probably a couple. But there was one guy who did like the majority of these, I think. At least he did like all the Sonic
Why am I
fighters.
blanking?
But that artwork to me isn't as endearing as Garrido's artwork. I feel like if this artwork on these figures was still Garrido's style and still the explosion back, I think there would be more love in nostalgia for guys who didn't even collect these then. But look back on it
Yeah,
because the lineage in the cards would still exist, even though
yeah.
the themes got a little goofier. The artwork would still tie it together, you know? So this is my take. That was like something that just popped in my head right now. So okay. All right, what else you got?
Okay, one more thing. This was actually a gimme. Now, obviously, we're in a quarantine kind of scenario. We all are. We've been in the pandemic. I'm not sure if you're aware of that.
Oh, what's going on?
So during the pandemic, and thankfully, we're in a good position because we can still work and we're working from home and so on and so forth. So we're totally fine. And we moved house like it felt like seconds before the pandemic hit. We got in, settled, and then all of a sudden you can't leave the place now. And it's
Way to
like,
go.
okay, well, we enjoy the place and it's nice. So that was kind of important that was the case. Now we moved because Kate got a job at Boss Fight Studio.
Congrats,
And
Kate.
it meant that she was doing, congratulations, Kate. She's just lolling as she walks out of the room. So she got the job as the office manager, and I was doing like freelance stuff for them. So it kind of made sense for us to be closer. And in doing that, it's kind of been great for us to kind of, and also just around the corner, we've got Eric and Katrina, who are Eric Aranya and Katrina Aranya, who are the ex-Hasbro, now Boss Fight Studio, geniuses and amazing designers and great people, good friends. And because they're just around the corner, it means that we can kind of, self-quarantine with them a little bit. So like we can kind of hang out with them still, which is great. And one of the things I'm doing with Eric at the moment is it's another podcast. So tagging this onto the many friggin' edity podcast thingies I do at the moment.
Spreading yourself a little thin, aren't you?
Oh, mate. Lucha Libre Figures and Facts, which has just dropped recently. I'm kind of doing, again, I'm just the editor, just the producer. Eric's the talent on that one. So I'm going around his house a lot. We're recording the episodes and doing all that stuff. And he gave me as a present, this is a long way around, as a present, which you probably just saw me pull down off the top there, this awesome Sarge 6-inch.
Awesome.
Which is just like brilliant. And again, like this is just one of the few things I've managed to kind of get in recently. I do have one more thing which I'm saving to the last.
Okay.
But so just so you know, but this I just wanted to shout out Eric for giving me this as a prezi to doing the Lucha Libre podcast, and I'm really happy. And he's up there with Snake Eyes and Shank, like he's hanging out with my 6-inch crew at the moment. So
that's awesome.
Shout out to Eric for that one. And they're really cool. Like I've struggled to find Sarges now. They used to be everywhere when I used to go into like Walmart and Targets, and now I just don't see them anywhere. And he's really expensive now. So yeah, and it's just the basic version. It's not the elite. So thanks, Eric. Thanks for cheaping out.
No, it looks great, man. That's awesome. I want like a legit. They got to figure out the licensing on that thing.
Yes, big time.
Okay, cool. So you have one more thing, and then
I am
one.
listening. I just have to go. I have to go and get the other thing.
Oh, go
It's
go
it's
right ahead.
a while away.
I'll put
But carry
the,
on
like,
talking. I can hear.
We'll be back soon message up
After these messages.
after these messages. How's everybody doing in the chat? What's going on? Nobody's chatting. All right.
I'm still here.
I'm trying to decide. I got 2 more left, so we're gonna like alternate. It'll kind of be perfect.
Perfect.
All right. So
Perfect.
So one more Battle Core, one more $5 $5 discount. Same story on this one, although it's not cut through. Somebody neatly took off the successful because it didn't punch through. And this is everyone's favorite Battle Core figure, Dial Tone.
Brilliant. I really like that design.
I like
really
his head sculpt. I really like his head sculpt on here. If you could see, like, I really dig in the mustache. He looks like a slightly older version of the original Dial Tone, you know?
Yeah, totally.
It would be
His mustache has actually got longer as well. It's like growing like side all the way around the back of his head now.
Right. He's in Battle Core playoffs. He's growing it out. It's growing out the facial hair. So what I think I want to do is, they have some things with the card. I might slice these open and take the guys out. I don't know. I'm just thinking about it. Don't freak out, anyone. But
oh, mate, who cares? Like I trip over those figures. Like you can find them anywhere.
Yeah, this isn't a version 1 Snake Eyes in the card, right?
You'll be okay. You'll be all right.
And I literally just ripped it apart.
That I'd have an issue with.
That would be.
You still have to like carefully kind of de-glue it so that there's literally no rip or anything.
You do the where you cut along the seam and leave the glued on part. But what I want to do for photography is, for a shot specifically, is take this head and put it on the old school Dial Tone. Like, he doesn't have a gray, just as a different look. You know what I mean? Yeah. So
do it.
I'm excited to do that.
Do it now. What are you waiting for?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Kill me. Is it my turn again?
Yeah, your turn. I'm looking in the chat real quick. Rick and Cujo are in here.
Hi, Rick and Cujo in here. Oh yeah, they are. Right. Okay. So this is the piece de la résistance. I've said that wrong. The piece de résistance is what I should have said. And this came again. This is not G.I. Joe related in any way, shape, or form. Sorry, but this is the best. Most amazing thing that could have come through the post ever. This is a mail call of epic proportions.
Okay.
And I went nuts when they turned up. It was like I posted it all over my socials. I was like, oh, these are amazing. And I'll give, first off, I'll show you the mailer box that they came in to give you an idea of what we're talking about here. So quite a hefty box. What can you make that out?
Yeah, I do. I've seen that logo before.
Wayland Yutani. And here's the other box that comes with it.
Ooh.
Oh. What do you think? Pretty sexy.
I don't know. I don't know what that is. It's got like that oily color to it, you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's definitely got like that. Yeah, it has. It's like really, you can't, I don't think my phone's doing it justice.
It's almost like
ever so
darker version of Marty McFly's hat from Back to the Future 2.
Exactly that, yeah. But this is what's inside them.
It is? Oh my God. Oh,
sneakers.
My God.
So these bug stompers are just incroyable. Like, I'll just get them out of the box and then show you properly. But like the inside of the box is really awesome as well. There's little. Can you see the little stars and stuff in there?
Yeah,
Is that showing through?
yeah, I see
It's
'em.
really cute. It's really cute.
What
I
is
love
that
box.
box? Is that like cardboard or plastic?
It's cardboard. It's with like a like covering.
Yeah, it sounds. It's got that sound to it when you just put it down.
It's very much like the Snake Eyes deluxe Snake Eyes box in that
Gotcha.
kind of hefty card. Now these babies are just unreal. Like I absolutely love them.
Those
So you've
look
got so
like
many
they got that Marty
cute-
McFly Back to the Future 2 look with the strap and
the
everything.
mags. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's really cool. Like in here they've got these like friggin' extra details like patches and
Oh,
things like that
cool.
you just never see. So that one
Yeah.
is it's like an Eagle USCA. It's the United States Colonial Marine badge, and then you've got the little fancy like
Mm-hmm.
USA kind of colors strapped there. The camo is just like so sexy, and then there's like a darker string of green camo
Mm-hmm.
that runs through that to break it up. Then you've got like tails and the
with the
Wayland
logo.
Yutani badge,
Yeah.
and that you can like unstraps there, and you've got like the QR code which you can click on,
Oh,
and like
cool.
I haven't actually looked at that yet. I need to check that out actually.
Oh, that's awesome.
That strap comes out, and then you've got like a zip down the middle to open the interior. Just absolutely freaking gorgeous.
Man, those are
Oh, that's really cool as well. Look, Bug Stomper.
That's awesome.
So that's
funny.
amazing. The other sneaker has actually got even more details on it. So you've got that's on the back of Hicks's. I think
Yes.
is it Hicks or is it? I want to say it's either Hicks or
One of them.
Hudson have got that on the back of their gear.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is really great. They've even got the "We Endanger Species" written on the back instead of the US flag colors and everything. So it's really nice that they've got different details on this one. And again, you've got this really nice patch which is hidden inside, but is the US Colonial Marines patch.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that's awesome.
Like it's
So
unbelievably
that's an actual
sexy.
like sewn-on patch, right?
Yeah, actual Patch Czar level patch. Shout out to Patch Czar as well, by the way. Do you remember that JoeCon evening where you, myself, Patch Czar, Pat Stewart sat down together in the bar and we were going through like Patch Czar's like he had all the different like logos and patches and things from the figures. And we were playing like that little game as to can you guess the figure kind of thing. How much fun was that?
That was fun, especially because I think I did really well, if I remember.
You did amazing. Yeah, you were like, it's Frostbite, obviously. And I'm like, man, I didn't have a chance to think about it. I'm like, it's funny. Like I used to study those things as well. Like I used to like really like have a good old look at the ones that were available to me, like the Steel Brigade, Special Corps.
Mm-hmm.
Who else did I have that had all that? Just Mainframe and the kind of cool thing he had. Just I just loved all that stuff. But when he was showing them, I was blanking. I'm like, I don't even recognize
It's weird
that
seeing
one.
them on a phone screen. It's just a different. It's like a different environment you're seeing it on. You're seeing it blown up way past the size you normally see it. But those details. The artwork, right, on the boxes, but then drilling all the way down to those symbols and patches were a huge reason why I got into graphic design. So that was a huge influence, So
Sorry, more cool details. I'm not sure if you can actually see that. It's like a little skull.
Yeah, I see it. With a knife, sword through the head, right?
Yeah. The interior of this one is it's like a red. Yeah, it's got the skull with a knife through the top and it says "All Glory" on the bottom of it. But that's a red insole inside, right?
Mm-hmm.
This one's got it's like a camouflage insole, and it's got like a Wayland Yutani logo with like loads of text. So there are tons of homages and things, and you even get these really cool.
Those are
see-through dog tags.
Those are awesome. Yeah.
Aren't they gorgeous?
Yeah.
USCM got all of just loads of cute little, just loads of cute touches. They are beautiful, and weirdly enough, and I think a friend of mine said the same thing when I posted on all the socials again with these. He was like,
they've got to be the most comfortable sneakers out of the box I've ever worn, and I have to agree. Like I threw them on, and I was expecting like pinching and all sorts because they're like really like loads of things going on them. So comfortable, like unreal.
Nice.
And what is really annoying is this is the first time I've had them out of the box since that day. I took all the pictures of them. I just put them straight back in again, and I haven't seen them since now. So now I'm putting them on. So carry on.
All right.
Talk amongst yourselves.
Do it. Okay. All right. So, a total letdown after that is
Is it another battle core?
another battle core. That's all I got this week is battle core. 'Cause I got a bunch of things in the mail that are still en route. But actually,
Is it Cobra or Joe?
it's Joe. And I have to say, I mean, I really love Flint, but I already kind of have a Flint. I've never had this battle core figure, and he might be my favorite of this group right now that I'm looking at him right here.
Right.
He's not. This is my gut reaction. He's
me
not
a clue.
one that you would think of right off the bat. He in the battle core version that he had in his original version. He's missing something substantial that really.
Is it Law?
It is Law.
There you
It is
go.
Law.
I'm a ninja at this game.
Law without order.
I know.
Way
I
to
do like
go.
that Law though. Again, it's very very cops.
Yeah,
like
it is
very
very cops. I
cops
really like
vibe.
the face mask. Looks really cool. He's
Yeah.
COVID ready.
Oh,
to
he's
go.
ready for COVID. Who isn't?
This one does not have the flag point / proof of purchase cut off the back, so that's great. While you're putting the shoes on, let me talk about Law. Maybe his file card will explain what happened to Order here.
Put it on.
Nice. I like the sole the bottoms. What are those called? The soles?
They've got this like really cool little lip. Can you see that?
Yeah,
it's
I
hard
see
to
it.
kind of see, but there's like a really cool like little lip sticking out. Really nice.
Stomping
Carry on.
bumps. All right, let's see. Okay. His quote is no, I messed it up already. God damn it. You know what? Forget this. I'm hanging up right now. All right. No street is safe when cobras are around. Yeah, right. And no cobra is safe when I'm around. Okay. All right. So it sounds like he's gotten older and more jaded and meaner since '87.
That sounds. So basically, what he's saying is, even if Cobra out there, but if he's out there, it's still really dangerous. So don't bother going out there. Is what he's saying.
Yeah, he's saying like no cobra's safe when I'm around, but yeah, that's making me feel uncomfortable myself. Like, what if he mistakes me for a cobra? Then what happens? You know?
Yes.
He's head of security for GI Joe now, apparently. So as head of security for
cool.
GI Joe, Law has acquired a reputation as a relentless stickler for detail and a cool-headed fighter when the chips are down. He's a slow-talking.
He's Ultra Magnus.
Ultra Lawness. He's a slow-talking, mule-headed military cop, but he gets the job done. So that's just basically saying normal military cops don't get the job done. I don't know what that's
Exactly.
saying. So when the Battle Corps team needed another member to protect the innocent and bust Cobra enemies, Law was the first man on the roster. He's the kind of soldier who's walked a beat for days at a time, trying to eliminate as many criminals as he can. Nothing pleases him more than seeing justice served. Nothing about Order. I want to know what happened to Order. Did he run away?
I guess they just weren't doing. They didn't want to do the animal companion. I think he might have been a different character to start with, and then they just threw the name they had a copyright attachment to.
I feel like that makes a lot of sense because this could be anybody. Actually, this is like Torpedo. Could be Torpedo. You know what I mean? So
it could have been Pedo.
Pedo. Oh, yep. So okay, that's it. That's my mail call for the evening. All right, it's 9:00. We should get into topic 2 here. Fast and
Oh my
Furious.
goodness! Yes.
Let's do it. All right. So what we wanted to talk about was the GI Joe Retro line, which is supposedly coming to Walmart, correct? Sometime in the near future, hopefully. With the
Well, it
COVID
was,
thing,
yeah.
we don't know. But what do you? Yeah. So, do we? Is there anything we really know that's public knowledge about that?
It's hard to say, isn't it? Because all we've seen, or all we're going on, are these listings that appeared, and they're legitimate listings that appeared in Walmart's computer that suggest, and also to probably I should say that these listings go around to a lot of retailers as well that might be interested in picking this stuff up. In terms of this being a Walmart exclusive, though, they were never going to be able to hold on to this information, so it's kind of snuck out. And all we know is that there's like it's like the character code names are in there again, which we can assume are the same as the classified series code names that we've already deduced. The kind of, was it Mayfly and Tarantula and all those kind of different kind of code names they were giving to kind of throw us off the scent a little bit. All we kind of know is that there's going to be this kind of lineup, and that retro is in the title, and it's a smaller price point. It's a lot lower price point, I should say, than the 6-inch figures, and there is some information knocking about where it does say, or we've heard information that it's going to be smaller than 6-inch. We don't know if it's 3 3/4 O-ring style or if it's 25th anniversary modern style. We just don't know that, and I think Hasbro are keeping this one close to the chest. Even even I say even me, even the Full Force News bursts and Patreon exclusive intel hasn't been able to ascertain what it is we're going to be expecting. And there's a lot of confusion even within the kind of inner circle, shall we say. So I would all I would say is that we know there's a retro line coming. We know that certain characters are involved. They're going to be the similar characters that we've seen in the classified series, obviously, and a few other different ones. And but we don't know what scale we're talking. We just know it's probably between 3 3/4 and 4-inch.
Yeah, I think for me, it's my hopes and dreams are that they follow suit with what they've done with Transformers and Ghostbusters and Star Wars, which is release retro lines in their original forms with the original card art. And they just placed a sticker on the corner of the card and say like retro line, they didn't even do that for Transformers. I mean, it was straight up
G1 reissues, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm hoping it's O-ring reissues just because I want that experience of going into a toy aisle and seeing those on the pegs again, and seeing a couple vehicles there, and just having that like visceral experience of being able to pull that off the peg and closing my eyes and feeling like I'm 10 years old again. That would be worth it for me, just that moment, and it's something I've been dreaming about since 1995, you know what I mean? So
we know that we're getting an Ore Striker and a Hiss tank as well, so that's information that's kind of, I say, out there, that's been leaked, so we know that's happening too. At least in the first wave, we're going to get a couple of vehicles. I assume that we're talking, because okay, put it this way: if it's new tooling, which is very doubtful, then it would have to be new tooling, is what I'm saying, for 3 3/4 vintage, because a lot of that stuff just doesn't exist for them anymore. So they'd have to do a lot of work in order to get our retro line out. What they wouldn't have to do a lot of work in is re-releasing some stuff they do have control over already. I'm not saying that that's what they're going to do. I don't know. I'm trying to look at it from a logical point of view. Does that mean that the likelihood is we're looking at 25th to modern styling? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I hope it's not. I mean, I would be less disappointed with some of the modern stuff. The 25th, with the exception of a handful of figures like Airborne and Tunnel Rat, The rest just do not do it for me.
Well, they got dated pretty early on, didn't they? I mean, like as soon as the 25th was, it was amazing. I loved it at the time. It was great. I was buying all the figures and loving it, and it was fantastic again to be a Joe fan. And that reignited the brand. It reignited the community, and it created what is now, I suppose, like the kind of re-energized fandom that we see kind of today. But as they developed, like even Rise of Cobra, some of the kind of developments they made in figure creation and design and builds and all that kind of stuff just completely just decimated what had just happened with the 25th. It was almost like immediately improved on, and then Pursuit of Cobra took it to another level. Retaliation, like yes, they in some cases they took some articulation away on some of the figures, but for the most part there was some amazing toys in that line. So yeah, we're looking at this point now where I say 25th, but I mean modern builds,
Yeah, and I think for me, it's where my heart's at. It's always been. But I think there's some exceptions. Like if you look at the code names that you're deciphering, right? If there's a Baroness there, right? But they have that tooling because they've released several O-ring Baronesses right up to the late 90s, early 2000s, right?
The thing is, like, who knows what happens? Who knows what happens like with even the 2000 stuff? Like, because that stuff is expensive to store, to keep. It's just easier for them to destroy.
Sure. I guess we're assuming they destroyed it. I guess because we've probably heard they've destroyed older stuff, but we do know like up until even the club was making figures with Hiss Driver molds, right? So we knew that. We know that there was some of the other figures that are kind of like suggested, like Roadblock figure. The original 84 mold's been used up through what was his name, Double Blast or whatever. So they're there.
Yes.
They're there. If they weren't destroyed from the early 2000s, then they have those. I mean, in my feeling, if
degradation as well, don't forget, like those things degrade and don't kick out the same thing after. And we're talking quite a few years now. We're almost into the 20th. Like we're in the teens at least since those things have been kind of brought out.
Sure, and but think about 25th, like the original. Those came out in 2007. So whatever molds those were used are getting old too. So.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking more like they have like certain modern stuff, like that's a lot closer to now. Again, I personally want to see retro. I want to see Revolution, just because I want to see it again. Just like they've done. They've done it for everything else. Ghostbusters.
Think about like if Black Major and Red Laser can get molds and make Snake Eyes figures, 85 Snake Eyes figures. If they can make Cobra Trooper figures and stuff, like why can't Hasbro get those molds to use those somehow? So
I'm sure the other thing is I know fully well that like Hasbro and in the past have developed and gone into huge development levels, and like years and years of development, loads of money in it, like thrown into it, actual product almost to the point of like production samples and so on and so forth, and then they just scrapped it.
Like they just
gone,
90,
forget that, we'll just, whatever.
97 or whatever year it was that I had images of from Kim Simmons where it was like the dark blue Cobra Commander with the gold mask, and it was the Duke with the different colorway, and they had all those, but they just didn't release them. So, but I guess I'm pinning my hopes, number one, on marketing. Marketing consistency, right? So I've worked in marketing for years. So if you have this language where the retro line of Transformers is G1, the retro line of Ghostbusters is G1, if the retro line of Star Wars is G1, and then you do a retro line of G.I. Joe and it's not G1, it doesn't make any sense. So I wouldn't, as a marketer, called it retro line. I would have called it something else. So that's kind of, if I'm hoping their marketing team is consistent, that it won't be a one-off that won't fit. It'll be like a black sheep in the family of all these retro lines. You know what I'm saying?
I'm also wondering if they do. It's more likely. I say O-ring as well. I don't mean O-ring. I mean more faux ring. Like they'll develop something else that's similar to O-ring, but it isn't O-ring because obviously this stuff has to last
Right.
probably a little bit longer than the O-ring does. But and they did do faux ring with some of the reissues in the 2000s, didn't they? That was kind of like it's like a fake O-ring build that has the same kind of output, shall we say, as a vintage figure. So I think if again, likelihood is that Hasbro have been developing this for a number of years and that they have probably developed again something like that where they've got the if they're doing on a smaller scale as well. They're not like bringing like
Right.
you turn the cross cell, there's like 50
Right.
figures on it.
Yeah.
They'll be doing like a small little re-release of figures and they'll drip feed them out over a period of time. So that is a much more viable thing, for them to do, and they will make money out of that. I mean, the Joe fans are instantly going to buy that stuff. Like people are going to buy that out of nostalgia. Like hardcore Joe fans will buy that out of nostalgia.
Think about this too. The 25th line came out and did really well. 25th anniversary. I mean, we are less than 2 years away from the 40th anniversary of the 82 of A Real American Hero. So
don't say that.
It's crazy.
Damn
that
it.
means we're 15 years away from the 25th line.
I am 40 this year.
Welcome to the club, man. I'm 44 now. So
that's ridiculous. How I look about 50 odd and you look about 12.
I've always looked younger than
and you're older than
always.
You could be my dad.
I'm 67 years old. I've been around a long time, Chris. All right, so we talked about Retroline, but what we really wanted to get into was you. This is your idea, Chris. You let the two people who are listening know.
Yeah, we wanted to do a little chat about what we'd like to see in the retro line, in a kind of similar way that Star Wars have done their Grand Moff Tarkin and I forget the other one they've done recently. It's like the Hoth, the speeder, the snow speeder co-pilot, I want to say, or Nav. I can't remember now, but I think they're doing characters that never got a release.
They did
in the retro line, as well as
right. What's that his name?
Yeah, Grand Moff Tarkin, and the other guy is it's a new one, and it was revealed at Toy Fair.
Guy. Yeah, right.
But like, I forget the name. Apologies, but we want to kind of throw it out to us, to me and Paul, what we'd like to see that never got a figure that never got done in the vintage line that could be done now in the retro styling, and then be packed in with some sort of like G.I. Joe. What was that? There was a G.I. Joe game. There's been a couple of G.I. Joe games, like vintage ones, haven't there?
Yeah, I have both.
So they could
laying around here somewhere.
So again, and you start. Who would you like to, or do you want me to start?
Go ahead.
I can't remember.
You start. Go start.
I'll start. I would love, and I think my wife Kate would agree with me on this one. I would love to see them redo, or not redo, but do for the first time ever, to it, a Pythona in the vintage line. How awesome would it be to complete that Cobra La team with Pythona?
That would be amazing. It's one of, now we kind of like chose, and you chose Pythona, so I was like, okay, I can't choose Pythona, because I would have chosen Pythona hands down. I remember in 87, like I loved Cobra La at first when it came out. I grew not to like it, and then I grew back to like it again. But I remember thinking, why is there no Pythona? Like what? Like she had the coolest. She kicked off the movie. She had that whole intro, that whole scene.
Yeah.
And then there's no figure for her. And I was like, well, maybe she'll come later. And she just never showed up, and it was such a disappointment. I mean, she has Zanzibar's hair. They could have done a Zanzibar hair thing with her,
Yeah, you could have had that that tuft of hair sticking out the top. I just think. I mean, there was a customizer, wasn't there? There was one that was going around maybe I think by the late 90s, maybe even in the 2000s, where they were trying to get a Pythona figure vintage one done and like some sort of like crowdfunding
Yeah.
style, I think it was. I'm probably getting this completely wrong.
I remember seeing
but
some
I remember I've
stuff.
seen pictures of
Yeah.
it. Yeah. And I know a lot of people that were involved in it, like involved in like that, trying to make that a thing. And it was such a shame that that also didn't make it. So I think like now having the opportunity, if they're doing a retro line, if it's successful and if they want to do like cute little side hustles, I think getting characters that didn't ever get that vintage treatment, and there's loads. I mean, you look in the comics, the cartoon, there's tons, but Pythona for me is a big standout.
I think
for
if
me.
there was a vote, like they've done with like Transformers and stuff, fandoms, like they do votes on a character they're going to release. I think Pythona would, if they have multiple rounds. I mean, she would definitely win out. I can't think of another character.
She's even like one of my favorite ever club figures, and also generally modern figures that exist. I think the modern version of Pythona is up there, like with some of the best GI Joe figures of all time. She is just perfection. Almost.
I have her and I've taken some photos with her in it, and I dig, but I just want that O-ring version. So if they do O-ring, praying to the gods, and maybe it does well enough where they do this kind of thing, even if it's a what do you call it, what's that, Pulse exclusive or something, who knows, if they do something with it, that would be great. Okay, cool, that's a good call.
Yeah.
So mine, I haven't told, but mine would be this guy.
I love that you're putting the pictures up, by the way.
Yeah, right. I'm trying to figure out this whole broadcasting thing. Okay, so
it's working really well.
The Hermit from the Mass Device series.
Yes.
I want to do a photo of that scene so bad. I have Snake Eyes, I have Timber, I have a polar bear, I have a dog sled, I have everything I need, but I don't have this guy. And I'm trying to think, can I customize this? How do I get that beard? How do I get this hair? I could use maybe a Zartan head because he's got the black around the eyes already.
You got the black around the eyes.
Yeah, but
mate, this is a great shout, because I just did a top 10 Snake Eyes video. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. To the 5 people watching, it is a top 10 of all Snake Eyes action figures, and in the top 10, I threw in the modern version of the DVD battles set, where it was the irradiated Snake Eyes, because it's just adorable.
It's great. Yeah, I have that.
And
in the box still, I have not taken it out, thinking like, if I do this shot, it's got to have this guy in it. I need him.
Imagine a retro VHS set.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yep.
You know what I'm talking about? Maybe even like a little tape, like they could do like a retro tape cassette re-releasing, because they were all the rage back in the day with figures, listening fun, etc., etc. They could do in the retro line like Sunbow-esque friggin' sets, and have that dude. They'd have Snake Eyes and Timber, and maybe like a Major Blood in his Sunbow colors, right?
Or Major Blood wearing his the polar coat that he was wearing.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Maybe they have that little mining robot, like that droid.
Yeah,
that would be amazing.
There's a ton of different cute things they could throw in there, and you could have like that would be really adorable, and like a little retro cassette as well. I mean, how gorgeous would that be?
That would be amazing. So and then along those lines, right? There are other characters in the Sunbow series that are beloved that never got an original release, or any release really.
Yeah.
So you have a runner-up to Pythona.
I do, and that is Colonel Sharp. That is right, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Colonel Sharp. This is the most iconic photo of him to me. This is how I think of him whenever.
I'm just waiting for it. I'm waiting for it to flip up on the live stream. It's cute though. Oh yeah, when he's trapped Vietnam style.
So maybe he comes with a cage. You could just put him in the water in the cage.
So what's funny is this guy, I wouldn't have given him a second thought, in all honesty, until we started doing the VHS watch-alongs again, which you've been obviously on a couple of them so far. Colonel Sharp is in so many of those episodes. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
He just appears randomly and then just says one thing and then that's it. He's off.
He's one of the
And then
classic
sometimes really-
voices of the Sunbow series. He's very distinct, his
big-
voice.
He's gonna
Zartan had
going
it
on,
down.
yeah. Oh yeah. I should.
Your voice is the last thing I needed.
That's amazing. That is a great scene as well. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, Colonel Sharp for me. I think give him with his hat as well. Make it removable too, because that was happening in Vintage Line.
You
so
could just
no
use
excuses.
if it exists, use a Red Star mold, like Red Star's hat or something like that. That could work.
General Flag.
Yeah. Oh yeah, General Flag. Or even you could use Keel Halls if it wasn't removable. You could use it like a Keel Hall hat. But okay, so I had a backup as well, but it was also one that
Brilliant.
you mentioned. But it's just kind of like a twofold, right? So we're gonna. This
Okay.
is my runner-up.
I can't see it yet. I have to wait for this delay to come through. Oh, I'm so excited.
It's. I'm gonna wait till you see it.
Well, you've just said on the live stream, you just said twofold. Satin.
Satin. So this would be way out there. This would be a crazy out there choice, right? And
100%.
what would make it though is not to just have satin, right?
Of course.
Have a Pulse or San Diego Comic-Con exclusive set of
yes.
the whole band.
The band.
The whole
band.
band, including
Timber with the visor
walking,
and the hat.
Bipedal with the visor and the hat, and the Polly as the director with the beret and the
Timber.
sunglasses.
Timber has another tail. Like he has a tail attached over
Yeah.
his real tail. I think that is gorgeous.
It's man, that
Oh my
shipwreck
God.
and it would be. I would probably exclusively shoot that shipwreck for about a month with photography.
That Snake Eyes figure would rejig my top 10 Snake Eyes action figures because everything would get shifted along and he would go right there.
Cindy Lauper Snake Eyes.
Oh my God. I call that the James Kavanagh Snake Eyes because he cosplayed that at one
Oh, he
Joe-Con
did? I didn't
and
know that.
Absolutely smashed it out of the park. The Ray Park, I should say. That was a Snake Eyes joke. Smashed out of the Ray Park.
That's
But
funny.
no, I agree with you. I think like Snake Eyes, Timber, and Polly as a set would just be
Yeah, dude.
brilliant. And maybe a couple of troopers. Just
Yeah, if you really wanted to sell it, yeah, the couple of troopers, the truck. If you really wanted to go,
The van,
you
yeah.
wanted to go full ham on
Street
this.
Dio.
Just do the truck with the full down sides and the little battering ram in the front. And like, I'm talking like if you're gonna go full blast, full force on this,
Full force.
you're gonna be able
Yeah.
to recreate this scene that you see right here in front of you.
I think Full Blast, we did a reinvention of ourselves and we lost the rights to the Full Force name and had to become Double Blast. Had to become Full
Double
Blast. That's what happened
Double force.
there. Also, we should shout out because we have come full circle to the Ian Lalonde, Just Ian Customs, Satin and the Band thing. Yeah, so
Yeah, if you haven't seen
Yeah,
those, I'm not
amazing.
sure where they exist, but I had seen them in Facebook groups, but they are they're spot on for like modern figures. I mean, they look like they could have been like produced officially. That's how good they are.
his work is exceptional. Like I can't even begin to describe it. It's just like clean and just brilliant builds and beautiful paintwork. Just great. Even painted the Red Shadows logo freehand by the looks of things.
That's
Incredible
that's
stuff.
incredible for freehand.
Yeah.
So yeah, all right. So that's our hopes and dreams for if the retro line gives us unproduced characters, like with Star Wars.
Yeah, 100%. There are loads more though as well when you think about it. Think of the comics.
Oh,
Think of like
I have one.
all of the characters in the comics. Go on
I
then.
have one, and it almost made it in, but I didn't have time to find the image from. It was probably from what was that? The Order of Battle or something? Bongo the Balloon
Oh,
Bear was what I was gonna put in there.
Oh, I tell you what. I have actually. I've discussed this with Talking Joe before with Chief, way back in the day when I was on the show. But we discussed this kind of a little bit, and one character that came up was Cool Breeze, because there is a custom out there of a vintage Cool Breeze. But imagine that. That would be wicked, wouldn't it?
I love that story. It's bittersweet though, that story, and I don't want to throw shade. I'll try to do this without being a jerk. All I'm going to say is MD Bright's run on that comic. I loved his art style. It was so unique. It was the way he drew explosions, the way he drew the way he drew Cobra
Snake Eyes,
Commander
yeah.
and Snake Eyes. That whole loved it, and I mean, I was so into it then because the story and the art were hitting on all cylinders. And when he left, the guy who replaced him was not good, in my opinion. I don't know how to say it without being a jerk. Like anatomy out the window. So the whole thing where the Saw Viper killed the Joes, if MD Bright had drawn that, would have been insane. And then same with the Cool Breeze story. Same guy. The art was not good, in my opinion, at least for me, my personal opinion. So it sucked some of the joy out of it. But that's just my personal take. I remember as a kid being just so heartbroken that MD Bright stopped on the series. But that Cool Breeze story, that there's like a one-off story kind of in the middle of maybe it like broke up 2 story arcs or something. I don't remember exactly how it fell.
He was over a couple of issues at least.
Yeah. And it was just one of the best stories that Larry Hama told. You know, it's kind of a self-contained story. So but a Cool Breeze figure would be amazing. I mean, there were so many characters like that.
I've got another one.
Yeah.
I've got another one. It's not a character that didn't make it, but if they were to do like comic pack retro stuff, like, you know, because that's something that they have precedent, I suppose, with the comic packs, but they could do a repaint. You know, the special missions, I forget the issue number, where Shockwave's smashing through the window and it's the kind of...
I know who you're talking about.
You know what I'm going to say?
Yeah.
So I want them to do a hit and run in that white gear that he's wearing, because that is a fire deco for hit and run.
That's still one of the standout special missions for me. It might be my favorite. That whole story with the kid and the father and like what happened, like the end is just
massive twist.
Man, it was just powerful. You know what I mean? The cover was powerful on that issue. So good. But yeah, that would be great.
Special missions was like, wow. I wish we could go back to that, like short stories, bringing in loads of different Joes from the roster, you know, really kind of doing things like that.
Yeah, they kind of did it with IDW, but it just focused on one Joe, and it was like the Joes you always see, right? And I would love it to be like here.
They've done it twice.
Yeah. So, but it would be like, we're going on a jungle mission. We need Recondo. We need, you know, like get the right squad for the right mission. That's what made G.I. Joe, which I think gets kind of lost or even just taken for granted, is what makes G.I. Joe great is you have guys for specific, and girls, for specific situations. You know what I mean? So like you're going to you got your Arctic guys. You're going to the jungle, you got guys who can do that. So you can make
the specialism, like specialists for the situation, absolutely. And that's always been what appeals to me about the Joe kind of stories, is that you get all these characters, and the challenge is you've got to kind of develop them from the opening of that first page to the last, you know, to closing the back cover up, and just being like, cool, I know exactly who Lowlight is, I know exactly who Lady J is, I know exactly who these characters are, just by rinsing through it, kind of thing. And Larry had a really good way of doing that in the way he told stories. 100%, like, you know that character inside and out by the end of that comic. And I think that's where it's kind of struggled since, where you kind of have I don't know if it's like the emphasis is put on long story arcs, which really just get boring after a while. I mean, it's a good idea when it's like, oh yeah, we're heading towards this point, and everyone can see where you're heading, and everyone's going that direction, and it kind of makes sense. And that you get there, and it's a bit anticlimactic, but there we are.
I think I
You know,
have
like
a
I kind of
theory.
want punchy missions.
Yeah, I have a theory, and it probably would have been considered somewhat of a negative to Larry, or maybe not, I don't know, but back in the day, where it's different now, is every year Hasbro was releasing new characters, and you had to write them in.
Yeah,
So you had to figure
yeah,
out a
yeah.
way to get these guys into a situation, and how to highlight these guys. So you couldn't really he did focus on, I mean, there was the whole Mark Bright series. I mean, you had Mutt, and you had Rock and Roll and everything through what town was it? It wasn't Springfield then. It was
Millville.
So you had that whole thing. Like, so you had some characters that had a story arc, but you still had to work in. So like there was that one scene with Code Commander with the microphone. You had a Frag Viper and an Alley Viper, and you had a Heat Viper all running around, and you'd get to see peaks of new characters for the first time, and it would be cool. And then you'd have like Hit and Run shows up. You're like, who's this guy? You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
you got to learn who he is. And a perfect example of that, what you were saying about like getting to know a guy, or his personality, her personality through the comic book when they show up for the first time, is in '87 when there was that Outback where he left everybody and he came back and he was getting crap for it, even though he didn't
Amazing.
want to leave them. That whole like I got to know who Outback was instantly, and what a tough situation he was in, and I felt for him, you know, and
Yeah.
it made him a more favorite Joe of mine. I already thought
Yeah.
he was cool, but when I read that, I was like, now not only is he like this survivalist, he's also got like this code of ethics, and he's also misunderstood, and it
Yeah,
just
yeah.
made him way more three-dimensional. So maybe it's just they're not releasing new characters on a regular basis, so there's no way to work them in. So you kind of just have these long story arcs with the same tried
Yeah,
and
the
true
core
characters.
team. The core team. I mean, that is like, I don't know if that has just become to me like the core team thing is repeated over and over again, and I've never accepted it. I've never accepted that
Right.
thing. And like, fair enough if that's all you've got. If you've got the Avengers, if that's your team,
Yeah.
and that's your core team, I understand.
Right.
But in G.I. Joe, there are hundreds of characters in the G.I. Joe team, not even talking about Cobra, but just in the G.I. Joe team itself. To get through all of them, you've got all this time to develop these characters, and all they do is they focus on Scarlet, Duke, Roadblock, Snake Eyes.
Yeah. Right.
And then every now and again, you'll get another one thrown in, and then that becomes like a core member who then gets used again and again because people think, Gung Ho, he needs to be like constantly done over and over and over again. It's like, can we just like open this up? Fair enough, you could have like one or two characters that appear multiple times throughout the run as like Scarlet and Duke, possibly to run operations or whatever. But if you're sending a team of specialists in there, you don't need like the chef going along, or you don't need
or both of them, Gung Ho and Roadblock.
Yeah, you don't need like use a different heavy gunner, use heavy duty, or use like blimmin' repeater, or use anybody else who can do that specialism, and let's see them highlighted for a second. Tunnel Rat is now one of those kind of characters who has become like, it's kind of been snuck in as the core character, and he gets reutilized quite often, which is nice to see. It's nice to see that we're getting Tunnel Rat used. But then there are other EOD guys on the team. There are other, and I'm getting at the fact
I know where you're going.
Lightfoot.
I knew it. I was going to say it. I knew you were going there.
I was just joking at that point. But yes, there are way more other characters to kind of delve into. And I've actually been putting together for a long period of time a pitch to IDW for a G.I. Joe series, which I'm not going to give away too much now, but it effectively will effectively kind of focus on some of the lesser known, shall we say, lesser highlighted characters. But yeah,
Yeah, man.
I'm sure it'll come out eventually.
That is one of my hopes and dreams in the long run for Joe storytelling is to get back to that. And it even evolves in my mind to this dream, right? That somehow we'll just get kind of sick of the same properties over and over, and GI Joe comes up and it's under the radar, and all of a sudden more people jump on it because they just want something different, and it gains popularity to the point where they do a Netflix live action series or even an animated series, let's say, and they do it there. They do a special, maybe it's just called Special Missions, and it's just episode one's a jungle thing, episode two is Arctic, episode three is on the ocean, and they just do these. And maybe there's a common thread that runs through all of them, but you get to see Torpedo, you get to see Alpine, you get to see Bazooka, you get to see guys that you never get to see, even like more obscure characters, like Charbroil shows up for some reason. Who knows? So
I like the when I can't remember who it was again. I don't think it was IDW. I think it was just before IDW. They did Special Missions, didn't they? And they did Manhattan, they did Japan, and they did something. Oh, they did another one, Antarctica maybe. And I quite enjoyed them. And then they just stopped doing it. Like that was it. It was you had like 3 of them or 4 of them or whatever.
So you get to get a taste of it, and then they pull it away.
It was brilliant. The Manhattan one had Beachhead, Tunnel Rat, some other randos actually, and then like bad guys wise, they had friggin' Neurotoxin as the bad guy, and it was just like, this is brilliant. Like finally we're getting into what I want to see. And then the next one, Antarctica, was okay. It was pretty cool because it was like a couple of the Snow Joes. I think Snake Eyes was in it, and then it kind of lost steam with the Japan one because it was cool because it was Budo, Jinx, etc. And you got some other characters being shown off again, but it just seemed to run out of steam really quickly. And then the special missions we've had recently have just focused on the same old Joes. Like,
I need to get to know so much about them that I don't want to know everything there is to know about Duke. I like to get little tidbits over dozens of issues where you find out a little something. But if you delve into these characters so much that you know them inside and out, what's left to learn?
What more can be told? I know, like it's like we want to come at it from a different angle, and it's like okay, but like I love what Paul Alla. I've got to say this. I love what Paul Alla was doing. I absolutely adore that comic because it is new takes on the whole brand as a whole. He gets a pretty bad like rap from the kind of hardcore fans because they just associate him as if he's got anything to do with like the kind of Aubrey Citizen debacle or something, and he doesn't. If this
Aubrey Citizen thing did not happen prior, I don't think it would be as bad. I think that left a really bad taste in a lot of people's mouths, and so their guard is up against falling into that again. You know what I mean? And so that's why it's not fair not fair.
If you actually read the people that are having a go at him aren't reading that comic. They're not. They can't be as well because it is absolutely superb. And what I really like about it,
I have all the issues since the kid. Where did we end up?
So
6?
I think we're at 6 now. The last one I read was I think it's 6, and I think it was a fadeaway issue. I could be wrong. That could be coming out next, but it's absolutely like just really cool to see these characters in a completely different light. And it's one of those things where it's so separate from what we know and what we've got and what we get involved in anything. It's not affecting your vintage.
It's just a different take. It's like Worlds Without End. It's a different universe, and it's interesting in its own right. It gives you something new that's Joe related to read and to consume, because I mean, what's wrong with having more, even if it's not for you? It's think about all of the Star Wars extended universe books and things that have come out over the years. I mean, there's tons of that stuff for other properties.
Tons of it, And the other thing I wanted to say, like to kind of link to what I was saying about the kind of it's like he is utilizing characters that we just haven't. And I'm saying it, Lightfoot. He's used Lightfoot as a character
I know.
in
So
there.
that
He's
that
used
immediately.
immediately. I'm in immediately. But like people having a go at like certain changes in characters, this that, and the other. It's like, can we let this go now? Can we let the animosity towards change, just let it happen, see how it goes. If it doesn't take, it doesn't take,
Yeah.
move on.
Yeah.
But this whole thing of like, I'm not going to do it because he's changing this or changing that, it's like, it's not affecting anything that you love at all.
Exactly. It's just something different and new, and it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be, if it's the same every time, or a different version of same.
Exactly.
You,
And that's my point. It's like, we're not seeing Duke anymore because he was wiped out in the
wait,
first
what? He
issue.
was?
So it's like,
Spoiler alert.
spoiler alert. So if you're not watching it, then I just spoiled it for you
And
anyway.
it's like Duke isn't really dead because he exists in the other comic book, the other series.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
it's not like he killed off Duke. Just that universe, the world's without end. They didn't kill off Grunt and Steeler and Clutch. Just in that universe, they were dead. You know what I mean? So that's fine. And then like there's a lot of complaints that I'm always like, wait a minute. Like even with like the any change gets immediate, and this isn't just, I mean, this is any fandom. Like you have the anything that isn't straight shot, anything that veers off a little bit is immediately panic by select group, and sometimes that spreads to other people, right?
Yeah.
And that's what's disappointing. It's like the 6-inch line, they have laser guns and this whole thing about the laser guns. And I'm like, no one complains when they watch the Sunbow series that everybody on there's got a laser gun and everybody loves it. And like, they're all using Snowjob's rifle, which is a laser rifle, XML laser rifle, which does not exist in the real world. So like, that's fine. And from my take, and I don't know this to be true, I don't know if it's Hasbro's call. It might be retailers' call on that. Like retailers are like, we're kind of shying away from this thing, and so Hasbro's got to adjust because they want them to sell their product. It could be as simple as that, which is why the Snake Eyes Classified Pulse exclusive had an Uzi. So
I mean, that's exactly what it is. Like it's the the kind of trepidation towards having that in the aisles,
right?
And I think it comes from both. I mean, Hasbro are definitely they're very strong in their opinions on what they want to actually put out and so on and so forth. They always have been very, at least in that sense, very kind of on the ball with that kind of stuff. And you're right though, like Walmart aren't going to want to have that stuff on shelves, and Target more so Target won't want to have that sold on their shelves necessarily.
Sure.
But so they get round it by doing the Nerf blaster type style stuff. And again, like, what difference? Why do you? There are so many guns out there.
Yeah, I was
like,
going to say,
so
we live
many
in a
toys.
time where you can get that stuff. It isn't 1980s
simple.
where we didn't have the internet. We didn't know how to get any other supplemental toys to play with like we can get that anywhere now. You can just get it. So it's not a big deal. Now you have both.
And the amount of like minimal, what I've noticed, especially with the classified line, people have got so few things to really pick at it that they pick at certain things that like that has to just be picked to death to make it a bigger deal than it is. The guns is an issue, apparently. I don't know why, but everyone seems to have a big issue with it. Like, figures haven't been coming out with like friggin' Renegades blasters and stuff for years of 4-inch figures. Like, loads of those figures came with like futuristic weapons. Yeah, exactly.
What is that supposed to be? Oh no, even better.
There are so many futuristic.
What is this exactly?
Yeah, I was actually waiting for you to pick up like any of the Battle Force 2000 weapons, like that big box with like a knob on the end of it and a handle at the bottom. I think it's Knockdown's gun.
Knockdown's gun, which he's an anti-aircraft trooper, so it's an anti-aircraft pistol.
Amazing.
So
amazing.
Yeah, I mean,
that was one thing. The other thing, obviously, was gold. So all of a
Oh,
sudden,
I
everyone's got
know.
something against gold. It's
Who
like, oh, all right,
paint it.
calm the fuck
Grab
down.
some paint it gray. I don't know.
But like, that's what it's come to.
No.
It's like, oh no, gold and blasters. Why are the holes in Snake Eye's gun? Who fucking cares? Who gives a flying shit if there are holes in the gun? Maybe it connects to something. Who gives a fuck?
Hold on.
Sorry, I'm getting R-rated now.
No, I mean I get it. I feel the same. I want to pull out one figure here for that very same point that you're making. I just think that people forget. They forget like the stuff that they're used to, right?
Yeah.
They forget the figures that they love so much. They forget that the critiques they're making are actually critiques that can be used on. There's holes in the middle of this rifle. How is this going to work? Well, it's got attached to his leg, so there's holes in it. You know what I mean? Why would he be walking out with 2 bars sticking out of his leg? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like if you're gonna get that
I
granular,
it's just it gets to the point where it's like, okay, Snake Eyes is awesome. He's an amazing classified figure, and even in all black, he's really fucking cool.
yeah,
And
I
now
love
it's
that
like,
little red detail.
why has he got a red dot on his head?
like
yeah,
it.
and it's like, why is? Yeah, it's a
who cares?
tiny deco touch that they've added to give it a bit more flavor, and everyone's like
I haven't heard
making a
that
big
yet.
deal like it's a problem.
I haven't heard. But grab a piece of sandpaper, sand it off. Then I don't know. Like it's a tiny, which makes it a little more interesting. You know?
Paint over it.
Yeah, I know.
It's black paint. Black paint is really easy to do.
grab a Sharpie.
I don't know.
No, I get it. Like I get. I mean, it happens to me too when I see something different. Sometimes, if it's different enough, I have that little side where I'm like, I don't know. But I'm the kind of person that's like, well, why do I feel this way? I'm now I
Yeah,
start to
yeah.
like, is it why am I feeling this way? Oh, it's because they went a little too far from what I knew. So now I just have to like understand
You have
something
to adapt
something
and
different.
adjust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now I want to enjoy it. Like, why would I want to be involved in any of this stuff if I wasn't going to try to enjoy it and have a good time? Like, if I was just going to get
I was
aggravated
thinking,
all the time, why even do it?
the thing is though, like I was thinking about this the other day, and I thought, okay, let's get in the mindset of someone that never wants anything changed, right? That they just want the same thing repeated over and over and over again in different styles, maybe in a modern setup, right?
Mhm.
So Scarlet, for example, Scarlet vintage figure comes out, you know, yay, that's what I want. That's how I view Scarlet. That's how I want her to be. Modern one comes out, you know, 25th anniversary. Yeah, that's the modern version. Yeah, absolutely. Extreme. She's not in it, but you know, all those different. Think of all the different iterations of Scarlet, but no, it has to be the exact same thing. Imagine that lineup of figures. It would literally be that just getting bigger, the same thing
Yeah.
getting bigger all the time, and that's all you'd
Right.
have. You'd have different scales of the exact same fucking thing.
Yeah, exactly.
What is the point?
It'd be like,
What is the point?
do you want this face at 6-inch scale? I don't know if you do. I really don't know if you want that face blown up to 6-inch scale. I love it. I love this figure, but like, what would be the point? It would just be like the Gentle Giants at 6-inch. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's just all you'd have the whole time is just different scale. And I know they'll probably the people that do like are passionate about that will probably just say, well, no, I only want that scale anyway, so I've got what I need.
But good.
Then why
Yeah,
do you care?
good.
Why do you care if you've already got what you need? Why do you care?
I'll tell you
Like
what.
it doesn't make any sense to me.
I tell you what I want. I want Hasbro to loosen up a bit and let Super 7 get the license and make Sunbow accurate 6-inch figures. That's what I want. Like they've done with the Filmation He-Man figures. That's like that would. I mean, every character looked different in Sunbow than they did as they had their own versions. Like Tripwire looked completely different, and Major Blood had a different arm. And like if you could get those figures like that, I might melt. I might melt into just a pool of blood and
Well,
stuff.
be careful. Yeah.
So no, but I mean,
But,
can you
like,
imagine like getting photography of that stuff and like I would be like, how can I make this look like a like a three-dimensional cell shaded cartoon. Like, how can I make the backgrounds?
Yeah.
And it would be insane. So
Like I understand, right, to some degree that expectations were high with the 6-inch line, in that it was going to be much like we'd had, with the 25th modern, moving it into the modern era, that we just get the same thing but at a 6-inch scale. I have to admit that when I saw them initially, there was that kind of moment of, oh, it wasn't a disappointment, actually, more of an intrigue almost that kind of came over me. And I have to say that now, and I know Rick's saying, Shatterglass Jazz is saying in the comments as well that he loves those figures, and I know because he's been posting amazing Instagram images, videos, and stuff. Yeah, thanks, you bastard. No, I'm kidding. We're all very jealous about that, by the way. But having seen them in hand, and having been very fortunate to go to Toy Fair and see them up close and personal, I was actually really super impressed. Like, when I saw Scarlet and everyone was going on about her hair being the wrong color, I mean, I just fuck off.
I know.
But the kind of, I'm not sure about all this stuff on her. She looks like a superhero. What? But when I saw her in hand, I was like, absolutely brilliant. The same with Roadblock. I thought Roadblock was superb. Huge hulking son of a bee.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely brilliant sculpt and design, and beautiful, loads of things on all of those figures. It doesn't have to be the exact thing that you've had already, and already you recognize them all. I knew exactly who they all were. Duke looks fantastic as well.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I could nitpick a little thing here and there, but I could do that about anything if I really wanted to.
Yeah.
I could nitpick any figure that I love. Even Rakondo, I could nitpick. Like, his hat doesn't come off. But then I know why, because the hat would look like Nagahai's hat. It would be too big. You know what I mean? So there's reasons. I love that they put the ball swivel in the waist, which is a nice surprise.
Yes.
Because that almost mimics an O-ring motion by
Yeah.
having that
Yeah.
swivel, and that's a articulation that a lot of 6-inch figures do not have. So
yes, people are going on a lot about chest crunches and all this kind of stuff, and I'm like, but look at what that figure can do. And it's not that big a deal. I don't look at that figure and think, oh, that looks ugly. I don't at all. Especially Snake Eyes, and even with the other figures, I think they look fantastic. And you're right, the articulation is unreal. The positions they can get in, just incredible stuff. And I mean, Destro's another one for me. They've kept very close to his original kind of styling.
Yeah.
But there are huge changes on him. The collar's completely different for a start. Right. It's not a big fucking balloon animal around him. It's a really carefully designed, more sleek, and then interior padded red kind of. It just perfection to me.
The original Destro, it wasn't that tall either. And what they did is they took it and they added that padded detail. And what I like about it is it accentuates the fact that it's mimicking the Cobra logo's shape, which is what I always thought as a kid.
You thought that never dawned on me for a second, and I don't know why.
I always thought it was it's mimicking, he's part of the Cobra logo, because he was their some weapon supplier, and he doesn't. And I always thought that's why they don't have a Cobra logo on him, because he
is a Cobra logo.
Yeah, exactly. That's, as a kid, that's what I thought.
His actual ribs are on show, and they make the ribs of the logo. Yeah.
Oh man. Well, we covered a lot tonight, man. And before we go, I want to say, do you have? We did it for sort of with the retro line. Is there a classified series figure that you don't know is coming, but definitely want to see if the line lasts?
I think you know the answer to this already.
I just want to hear you say it.
I'm not going to say that one that everyone expects me to say, but I am going to say it. It's Lightfoot. I'd love to see Lightfoot. Imagine that in a classified version.
With the robot?
In actual fact, the original... I'll send you to maybe post on your socials as well, but the original Lightfoot concept art, the actual character was kind of designed way back by a guy called Tom Renck, who did this incredibly beautiful Lightfoot drawing. and it's a little bit more going on in terms of, before it was refined and put into presentation art and then turnarounds and so on and so forth. So there's a lot more details going on that didn't make it to the figure. I think following something like that for the classified line would be absolutely superb.
I'd love to see it.
And
I
also
haven't seen that art.
I'll send it to you. But also to see that in like the Night Force version would be great. But I'd also love to see characters like Hit and Run and Tunnel Rat. Those kind of guys, I think, would be beautiful at 6-inch, and I can't wait to see that.
Yeah, I got a few. I mean, for me, it all comes down. I think the one guy I really need to see is Sea Slug. No, for real though.
Don't even hate it. Don't even hate him.
Rakondo would be my guy, but I'm also afraid because they might change him a little too much. Like, he's still got to be a jungle trooper, right? Because his name's Rakondo.
Yeah.
So
he'd be awesome. He'd be awesome.
Yeah. So he'd be one. Outback would be way up there. Oh my god.
Tiger Force Outback, SDCC exclusive. Imagine that.
Because that's what they could do. They released the regular version or whatever that's considered the regular version, and then if he's different enough,
Hit and Run,
they could,
Tunnel Rat,
right?
Outback, Blizzard.
Blizzard. They could do the Yellow Snow Blizzard. They could do all that kind of stuff.
Sneak peek.
So many, man. There's so many. That's what's great about G.I. Joe. We said it before. There's so many characters to choose from.
I tell you, there is one actually. I am really looking forward to if they do, stretch it out a bit longer. Lady J. I think she'd be freaking awesome at classified alongside.
And they'd have to, if it stretched out long enough, they'd have to do a Lady J because there's only so many iconic female characters, and she's up there. I mean, really, to me, it's Scarlet and Lady J.
CoverGirl.
And then it goes to like Jinx, CoverGirl. You know what I mean? From there.
Quarrel.
Don't even know who that. No, I'm just kidding. So yeah. All right. Well, Chris, I mean, we did this for a couple hours, which I think is longer than usual. However, it was more than worth it. We covered a lot of ground, and what makes me super happy is this is an Instagram, which means it will not disappear in 24 hours, and we will have the 2 hours we just wasted will not be gone into the ether. It'll at least exist on YouTube.
Well, I've had an absolute blast, mate. It's been well, I should say news burst, not news blast. It's an absolute blast. It's been great. A double blast, you could say. I've had a double blast. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks for coming on, and we'll have to do this again.
Absolutely. See you next week.
All right. See ya. Thanks, everybody.